I'm ready, magic.
All in the fam. All in the fam. Come on. It's all in the fam. All in the fam. Come on. Now get your hands up. 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 It's all in the fam. All in the fam. Come on. Come on. Come on.
My name is Liiko. As a music manager, I work for artists Core Rex and Ibra. Essentially what I do for them is a personalized journey of making sure that they can achieve their goals as musicians. So those are always going to be hyper-personalized to filling the void that the artist specifically needs. But mainly where I come in is a lot of the execution of the creative vision as well as bringing my expertise from being in the marketing industry to kind of helping them with playlisting and just any sort of opportunities to kind of get their music heard to more platforms and a bigger audience. So the reason I kind of got into music management is because back in college, one of my best friends, Ibra, was an incredibly talented rapper. I mean, he would freestyle every time we would get drunk and just be together. And his talent was unreal. It really shocked me because he was a pre-med major. And I was like, dog, what the fuck are you doing? Right? And one of my best friends, Joel, he let me know, man, I think you would be really good at being a manager, because I was already studying business. I was really passionate about the arts, but I wasn't doing anything creatively there. And really when he put that idea in my head, it just kind of clicked, and I linked up with Ibra and started making magic from there, and it's been my biggest passion in life and haven't looked back since. So me and Rex's relationship is one of the most special relationships I have in this world. How we got started is we were actually really close friends, and the amount of talent this individual had from his producing, singing, songwriting abilities were something I've never seen before. And honestly, at that time, he was very passionate about music, but I don't think as aggressive as he could be. So I was begging him to be a part of his team so we can kind of take it one step further and really get to achieving his dreams. And I think we were able to put our first best step forward with what we did with the Gemini Ultra project. Some of my favorite music I've heard to this day, one of my favorite projects that dropped that year that it released. But we have a lot more to do and a lot bigger goals, and I would pay attention to Core Rex. When it comes to do's and don'ts of the industry, do never give up. I think a hot take in terms of don't is don't network. So a lot of the times you'll be able to see the type of energy that people give off when they're networking and just trying to be kind of in your face for some sort of personal gain. I think do be genuine and make actual relationships with individuals, and that can lead you to great opportunities for your artists. And when you're bringing that organic chemistry to the table, that's how you create relationships that last and art that impacts more people. But all in all, I think do your research, do everything that you can, and never give up on your dream, and don't settle. Also, when it comes to do's and don'ts, do your research and don't ever give up on your dreams. Industry hot take, I think coming from a manager, this will be pretty interesting, but not every artist needs a manager. I think a lot of the times coming up in the DIY space, if you're an individual who wants to have creative control over every component of what's going on, and you have the tenacity to go after all of these goals, like someone like a Tyler, the Creator, then by all means go out and do it. That's not an integral part of your success story to have a manager. But where I've been able to find success is being able to come in and show the faith that I have in the process with my artists, and being able to kind of come in and step in and fill a void where they're not maybe experts, so they can give more time and attention to their music and their process. I think that's something that's really special that a lot of artists need. But if you're an individual who's hungry like Bree herself, you just go ahead and do it all yourself, and you don't need one. Another part that I think is really important to pay attention to is the nuances of when it comes to signing with a major label. I think a lot of the narrative right now is to make sure everybody is independent when there's still a gigantic machine that music label is able to provide to get you to a gargantuan level. I think one thing that's really different now when music labels are approaching artists is they're coming at artists once they already have a very established following, and with that is a brand identity. So you have a lot more leverage at the table to make sure that your creative expression isn't sacrificed, and then you can also negotiate that ownership because of how much impact you're already bringing. This way you don't have labels who are coming to you and telling you need to do this and this and this like these other people, and it leaves a little bit more of that uniqueness to be able to come in and provide something refreshing and different, because I think a lot of artists try to do a lot of the same thing, but if you're coming to the table where you're like, this is who I am, this is what my fans like and appreciate, then you really have all the power.
Should artists travel and live in key music markets to start their careers, such as LA, New York, and Atlanta? Why do you think some artists leave Chicago?
Wow, that's a great question. No, I don't think it's pivotal that you leave. I think in terms of being able to rub shoulders with certain people in the industry, like moving to LA, for example, everybody who's involved in music is going to be there and be at a studio. There's only so many studios that you can run into. So there's a lot of opportunities to be with certain artists, but I think there's also a lot of power in staying home. And I think you can kind of see that with like a Mick Jenkins or somebody, or Chance even, or Vic Mensa, who kind of stay home and kind of showcase what's possible from here. And it really puts more inspiration behind the people who are in Chicago to be able to showcase that special power that we have. Because when it comes to the Chicago music scene, I personally believe, biasly probably, but we have some of the best tastemakers and musicians, in the entire country and the entire world. And I think if we can continue to cultivate the attention of being able to stay here and make this a mecca as well, we can create that fraternal community which we've seen in places like Atlanta, where we kind of can help each other in terms of being able to be put on and give any sort of resources or advice, just to make sure that people know that this is a place to pay attention to.
What are 5 key things artists should be doing right now to get discovered?
5 key things to do. Perfect your craft is first and foremost. I think never lose sight of making sure you master your skill. I think that's the first thing to always pay attention to. 2 is being in the right spots, making sure that you're completely as active as possible. I remember when I was kind of first getting introduced to the scene, there was not one creative event that I could go to where I wasn't seeing Supa from Her Everybody at the time. Obviously a great independent artist now, but he made himself known in every possible spot, so you had to pay attention to him. And before long, I was making sure that he was on all of my playlists and was constantly listening to him. So I thought that was really important and impactful. 3 is collaborating with artists. I think when you collaborate with other artists who have different inspirations or attacks to the process, it is able to give you new opportunity on how to understand the execution of the process, and gives you something a little bit more special to deliver. Let's see, what would a 4th one be? Oh yeah, a fourth one is definitely paying attention to your branding and your brand identity. So one thing that I've done with Rex is making sure we defined a logo, a color palette, a voice, and making sure that that comes through in every possible place your listener could come into contact with you. So making sure that it's authentic, right, to who you are, but in terms of a brand, you're a business, right? So every possible buyer, customer stake, or fan opportunity to interact with you, it needs to be cohesive in the language, in the feel, in the aesthetic, art direction. Make sure you pay attention to that. I think 5 is do with the people you love. That way you never let this art form that could be escapism for some, or just a passion and a hobby for some, turn into a job that makes you regret or hateful towards this craft. Make sure that you're always reminding yourself of why you love this, and keeping people around that love you and can help keep inspiring you. I think a great way to stand out as a musician is to not overcomplicate things and stay true to who you are. There's a reason why you're an individual and uniquely different than everybody else, and you need to make that direction and towards all the execution that you have as a musician. Making sure that you're putting your personality out there in your live performances, getting really high quality video footage, upset interactions when you're going, B-roll for your music videos, and making sure, I think T-Pain said it best, there are a lot of Lil Uzis and Lil Babies and all of these sounds that already exist. Don't come out and try to mimic these people and create that because you see that's already been successful. It's great to have influences, but come to the table and provide something refreshing. That's what we're looking for as new listeners. With the tens and thousands of new songs that are always dropping, it's hard to pay attention to everything that's coming out, but one thing that listeners are always looking for is their new favorite artist or their new favorite sound. So pay attention to what you can bring to the table that's not already there.
Oh, we got that in there. Cool.
Nice.